Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Josh All, and I got Justin Charles and Kenny Mack, like I promised you guys earlier in the week.
Yo!
We are going to be giving our full reactions from the first week of Browns OTAs. We've got some information on OTAs. What the heck even are they? How does it work? We're going to talk about the players that are there, the players that aren't there, and of course, we'll dive into the quarterback discussion, which I'm sure is what most people want to hear, or at least seems to be the most popular topic. But before we dive into everything, make sure you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, like this video. If you're listening on audio, give us a 5-star review. That really helps out the show. And then make sure you guys head over to jointhedogs.com if you want to play fantasy football. Today is June 1st. Today, the fantasy football registration opens. So if you want to get in there, get in for the leagues that are going to be, well, we'll do the draft late August, but we have to coordinate the league starting now. So get in, sign up. It's just $5 a month, and then you get to play fantasy football with us. You get access to the private Discord. You get to hang out with Justin and Kenny and talk to me and all the guys in the community all the time. It's a ton of fun. So head to jointhedogs.com. Now, the last housekeeping thing that I got to do real quick, do not forget about the Tuscarawas County Browns Backers Bowling with Legends event. Saturday, June 21st. It's from noon to 5 p.m. at Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia, Ohio. So if you're local, head on down. You guys get to hang out, meet and greet some Browns legends. We're going to be there live streaming the event. So tune in, or like I said, come in person, meet the Browns legends like Felix Wright, Greg Pruitt, Mike Pruitt. There's going to be a current Browns player there, defensive tackle Ralph Hawley is going to join the show. He'll be at the event. I was just along with like boxer Sugar Dre Donovan. It's just going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come hang out with us at the Wabash Lanes in New Philly on June 21st. Kenny, Justin, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm in Toronto right now, and we're going to head to a concert with the family, and it's pretty dreary here, though. I don't know what it's like where you guys are, but it is definitely not sunny.
I have two questions. Well, I have one question. Who are you going to go see?
Canadian bands, Glorious Sons,
Okay.
Big Wreck, and JJ Wild.
Okay. I have no idea who those are, Josh. I don't know if you know who those people are.
They're not ringing any bells.
I throw it out there. And then to answer your question, it's rained every day for probably the past 7 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the most beautiful summer you could ever imagine. As I look out my window, I just see rain still, which is the norm anymore.
That's interesting because I'm a little further south in Ohio than Justin. We have sunshine today, and I haven't seen that
what the hell?
for a long time. It has been raining, like Justin said, nonstop for days. But hey, sunshine today. We'll see how long it lasts, but I'm soaking it in while I can, I guess, even though I'm indoors. Whatever. Yeah. You guys get the idea.
We're supposed to go to Cleveland Zoo tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and say that probably won't happen. But if you're at Cleveland Zoo tomorrow, holler at your boy.
I just said all this rain in May and it's been cold. It's like 50 degrees outside. I'm like, this means we better have a really nice September and October.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Probably not.
Oh.
So before we dive into these full reactions from the OTAs this week, I've been inviting you guys to send in your questions for a listener mailbag segments on these episodes. At thedogspodcast.com, you can tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. You can scroll down and just send us a message if you don't want your voice. If you're kind of shy about your voice, totally understand. So we did get a question. We're going to answer it here. This will be our question of the day from Caston on the website. He sent us a message, said, do you guys think that we passed on Shedeur 6 times because of his skill? Or do you think we passed on him because of his character? I'm a new listener to your podcast, and you are the first Browns podcast I actually like and feel like I get good info out of it. So first of all, thank you, Caston, for the kind words. We appreciate you listening to the show. And Justin, why don't you take this one first? Why don't why do you think the Browns passed on Shedeur 6 times before they finally traded up to get him in the 5th?
I think I don't think that it has anything to do as far as like talent wise, as far as like 5th round, you know what I mean? And like previously, I think as far as once you hit the 2nd round, I think that he was open for business as far as talent wise, skill set. I wouldn't even have been upset if they traded back in. We joked that we were okay with them taking him in the 1st. I was, at least I'll say that. I think that there was just a lot of noise around him, man. I think the fact that he didn't have an agent, I think the fact that, 4 months before, his dad was saying what teams he was going to let him go to. And I'm glad all that kind of went away because, it kind of did give him a chance to actually like just do his thing. But I think it damaged his draft stock. And I don't think it was his talent. I think it was just a lot of noise. Unfortunately, it probably cost him a lot of money, but he still has the opportunity to go out there and, ball out, potentially earn a starting spot on this, Browns roster.
Yeah. Kenny, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the biggest thing with Shedeur, it was his attitude, and I just don't think he was as prepared as he could have been for a lot of the interviews. So it just didn't sit well with a lot of teams other than the Browns. But it came to a point, like Andrew Barry said, it came that his value when it came to the 5th round was just more than what the draft choices were worth that they traded for him. And it was a good match for the team because if you look at anything, he's got the elite ball placement skills. And that was very noticeable in training camp with some of those completions in the back corner of the end zone.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think the pre-draft process did him zero favors. And I don't think it was his character, like Caston was asking here in the question. It's not so much his character. And I know there was, the rumors that he was coming across brash and arrogant and things like that. And, just since he's been in Cleveland, I haven't gotten that sense. It doesn't seem like anything he's ever said. None of the teammates, none of the coaches have ever indicated that he is like that at all. Everybody says he's a great guy. He just seems very confident in himself and his abilities. And, I talked to Jake Burns about it, and his viewpoint on it was more like his handling of the pre-draft process, Justin, like you said, no agent. He might have gotten some poor advice from his dad on how to go into these interviews, act like you're the best one out there when not that his talent was not good, obviously. It was great on tape, and people had him pegged as a first-round talent. Maybe, you could debate where it was, early, late, maybe second round, whatever. But the talent was not overwhelmingly elite to the point where teams would just ignore all that other stuff. So I think that really contributed to the fall.
I like a little chippy. I like a little confident. You know what I mean? I have no problem with that. Believe in yourself. You know what I mean? But also stay hungry.
Right. And I think he is. I think he's very hungry.
And let it be your drive. I'm very cool with all that. Nobody had a problem with Baker Mayfield when he was like that. So I think it's very, let's keep an open mind here. I like that. I like a little chippy, and I want a guy to be confident. I've seen a lot of guys come in here and not be confident and leave very quickly. So a guy that believes in himself, I'm fine with that.
And there is and I've heard this from a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of truth to it. I think there's a hesitancy on NFL teams to bring in guys who have already achieved celebrity status, which he has. He's got that. And then if things don't pan out, it's very difficult to keep a guy like that. Not on his part, none of his fault, but it's difficult to keep a celebrity as your backup quarterback or your third string quarterback. Whenever, they've got this massive following, this whole group of people that are just going to be tearing you down if you're not putting him out there on the field. That contributed to like Colin Kaepernick and, some of these, Tim Tebow, some of these other guys who the distraction, not necessarily from the player, but from the fans of having that person as a backup kind of leads teams to avoid them.
Yeah, I was surprised that someone who runs the Browns backers that with Baker Mayfield and we'll call them Baker Bros, right? The guys that just came in to be Browns fans for Baker Mayfield. I was surprised with the Shedeur fans that come through. It's almost like a tenfold of the same thing where guys are just so out there. But he does bring a lot of clout social media wise, and that may have scared some teams off. I don't know if that was the Browns idea, but that's something, man, for sure.
I think you're going to get that too with a lot of these high profile players. I mean, Justin, I'm sure you remember the Brown Tiger. We got a lot of Houston Texan fans or Clemson fans coming in when we traded for Deshaun Watson. So kind of just is what it is. It comes with the territory. But Caston, I hope that answered your question. And if anything else comes up that changes some opinions, we'll be happy to share it out here on the podcast. But let's kick off this OTA discussion now. With you, Mr. Kenny Mack, you got some information about what exactly OTAs are, because they're, people, I think you even just did it on accident, referred to it as training camp. It's not training camp. It's not mini camp. It's, OTAs are their own thing. What are teams allowed to do? What aren't they allowed to do? What is this whole phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 thing? Like, there's a lot of terminology that I think people get a little confused by.
Yeah, the NFL basically uses these OTAs, so they're organized team activities, and they lay the foundation for the upcoming season in a structured, but it's non-contact environment. So what typically happens, and this is super important for us, they install the offense, defense, special teams. Now, I specifically said it was important because of our offense. We have Tommy Reese coming in, and he's going to add some concepts, some terminology to the already established playbook from Kevin Stefanski. So these new players, these rookies, these are critical learning reps that they can get, see if they actually fit the scheme, and maybe some special assignments. There will be position drills, individual development. So we're going to work on their footwork, hand placement, route running, tackling, all that kind of stuff. With tackling, that's a super big thing. How are they going to incorporate the failures from last year? They'll have 7-on-7, 9-on-7, or 11-on-11 team drills, but there is no full contact or pads allowed per NFL rules. So this is really good for quarterbacks. This is really good for receivers. It's really good for defensive backs. Obviously, through this time, they're going to evaluate depth and versatility, right? So these fringe players, these UDFAs, they're going to get a lot of reps. So they're going to see if these guys can fit in multiple positions on the roster. So, you get your guys that cover linebacker, safety, or, the offensive line, which is super important for us, the swing roles between the guards and the tackles. You've heard this a lot from Kenny Pickett. You've heard a lot from Joe Flacco, building leadership, culture. These guys have a blast, it sounds like. I think Joe Flacco referred to as a bunch of 25-year-old guys just hanging out and having a good time, talking sports and playing sports. Then there's the medical stuff, rehab, conditioning. So these things are held between May and June, that's where we are right now, 3-4 weeks long. There's about 10 OTA sessions. But here are the key rules. Again, we'll just go over it. This is super important. No live contact. It's helmets only, as you've seen. No pads. You're limited to per field 2 hours of practice per day, and coaches may not conduct one-on-one full speed drills. So there are phases though, and I'm sure you heard Joe Flacco, he mentioned phase 1, phase 2, where he's like, I can kind of like leave those behind. He's dedicated enough. But phase 1 really starts right when the draft is happening, or just after it. It can go anytime really from the beginning of April. It just depends on the actual team, but it's strictly just strength and conditioning. So the permitted activities at that time is weightlifting, conditioning, rehab work, and classroom instruction. Then there's phase 2. So phase 2, that's individual and group drills. So it's position coaches only. There's no offense or defense. So no full team periods. And then this is where we are right now, guys. Phase 3, full OTAs. The focus, real football structure, still no contact. So you don't see any tackling. What's permitted? 11-on-11, 7-on-7. I think even Josh said the other day there's 11-on-9 because of shortage of players. There's 9-on-7. So we're installing the offense, defense, special teams, as I mentioned earlier. Coaches are fully involved. Rookies, veterans work together, as you've seen over the last couple of days. And again, no pads, no live contact, no one-on-one O-line, D-line drills. And that's basically it in a nutshell.
That's it in a nutshell. And one key word about OTAs that now we're going to dive into is they're voluntary, right? They're not mandatory. Players are not, required to show up. This is the time of year where a lot of veterans opt out. They say, no, I'm good. I'll see you guys at the mandatory mini camp, which is the last thing here. It's not next week, but the week after. And yeah, they skip out on these OTAs, and it just creates a big crap storm amongst the fan base. And it always starts with one guy, and it's Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett always skips OTAs. It's just what he does. And every year, fans freak out about, and this guy's not a good leader. He should be there with his team. And then you got the opposing views that are saying it's no big deal. It's just voluntary. Who cares? So we got a voicemail here from Andrew Jackson that will kick off this discussion, and then we'll see what you guys think about it.
What's going on, guys? It's Andrew Jackson here. And seeing all the stuff about Miles not being at OTAs is ridiculous. Like, people have an understanding he's a bad leader, bad this, bad that. I mean, sure, optics might not look good after the off-season media tour he had, but we don't know if he had this pre-scheduled. And not like he owes us or the Browns owe us any kind of explanation. And two, I mean, who knows? Who cares if the guy even requested a day off from work? Because I'm pretty sure we all have at one point in time. But speaking of that, I mean, he's not getting paid to show up. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't work for free. So yes, I understand, you know, if you have a not roster bonus, but a workout bonus in your contract and you have to be at OTAs, that's fine. You go do that. I'm sure Miles doesn't. Regardless, I don't think it's a big deal, and I think people losing sleep over it and throwing temper tantrums online about it, I don't care. Literally zero to give. Because I know Miles is going to show up most of the time. You know, there's going to be maybe a player or two he doesn't, but regardless, it's no big deal for me. Well, anyway, love you guys.
All right, so do you guys agree? We'll start here with Kenny on this one. Do you agree with Andrew? Because it is a split. You know, you see the fans who say it's a big deal, he needs to be there, and they're very upset about the fact he's not there. And then you see the other side of it, like Andrew, where they're like, that's really not that big of a deal. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, so I think because of the media tour, he should be there on one hand. However, our defensive line, specifically our defensive ends, need a lot of work. I don't need him taking any reps away from players that need it at this point, especially since it's like 4 days into OTAs. I would way rather a guy like Alex Wright take his reps, all of his reps, because he didn't play for most of the year last year. McGuire, take all his reps. Anybody else underneath that, I would love to have them take all the reps. Other than that, Miles, go to your anime awards, have a blast. I know that you can do the job. The defensive MVP of the league says that you can. I don't know if he's not a coach. You know, the coaches are there to coach. He's there to sack people and pressure. That's it.
No, I agree, Kenny. I think at first, when I first saw it, I was like, well, same like you said, like the optics. You're like, you know, well, we spent all off season hearing about leadership and, you know, being more present. And we're like, well, here we go. All right. But then I really thought about it and I was like, it doesn't really matter. The dude's never really done any of these for the most part, and he goes out and dominates. So what does it really matter? And I love what you were talking about as far as reps, like for the younger guys. I think you touched on something really, really important there because, you know, we think that with the defense is good and we think that the defensive line could be very, very stellar, but do we 100%? Can we really just say, yes, it's going to be great? No, we don't know that. So let those guys get those reps. Let's see if there's a guy that, you know, maybe a hidden gem down there, you know, somebody that we can bring up. That's where I'm at with it. I'm cool. I have no worries about what Miles' abilities are going to be at week 1 because he skipped a voluntary workout. I'm right there with you. Just kind of pointless.
Since 1989, Mount Hope Fence has set the standard in outdoor living. From decks and railings to fences and patios, we've got you covered. Our lineup features top brands like TimberTech, AlumaGuard, Preferred Railing, and Unilock, along with our own premium Duralux vinyl products. For over 30 years, we've partnered with contractors ensuring reliable job site delivery. Discover quality and excellence in all things outdoors with Mount Hope Fence.
This episode is sponsored by Omaha Steaks. Browns fans, you know Father's Day is right around the corner, and when it comes to gift giving, let's keep it simple. Dads want steak. That's right, from USDA certified tender steaks to burgers and more, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience, guaranteed to secure your spot as dad's favorite. I've been getting the Father's Day packages for my dad and my grandpa for years now, and they absolutely love it. And just a shout out to some of their products. The fan favorite filet mignon has earned the coveted distinction of USDA certified tender, and their all new smash burgers are built for the grill. I'm telling you guys, those smash burgers are delightful. So this Father's Day, give dad the world's best steak experience with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for guaranteed perfect gifts that deliver legendary quality, and for an extra $35 off, off your order. Use promo code BARK, B-A-R-K, at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. An extra $35 off with promo code BARK when you check out. See site for details. Myles Garrett's not fighting for a roster spot. So, he's not fighting for his, role in the rotation on the defensive line. It's there. He's the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, or at least until Jamar Chase got his contract. But yeah, I agree. Myles Garrett has, and I understand, I get the optics. Like, if fans are upset about the optics of him not being there, okay, like there's an argument there. I totally understand all that. But Myles Garrett he's never been a leader, like a vocal rah, I'm going to bring everybody around me and show you how it's done. And this is how we work here as Cleveland Brown. Like, he's not that kind of leader. The dude's 30 years old. He's pushing a decade in the league. It's not going to change. Like, he's not going to suddenly just, hey, I got a big contract, so now I'm going to change my entire personality. It's just not going to happen. This isn't who he is.
Yeah. His leadership aspect of this is through his play. The guy goes out and dominates like hell every freaking game for the most part, know. And when he's not dominating, he's eating up 2 or 3 guys and letting other guys hopefully get the ability to do that. And I don't think it matters.
What you guys are talking about with the reps, I love that conversation because these are OTAs. We're talking about 2 or 3 practices, like Kenny said, 2-hour windows max, each one of these over a 2-week span. He's not missing very much in the grand scheme of things. Training camp is a long period of time throughout the summer. He's going to be there for training camp the whole time. He's going to get his reps with these guys. We need McGuire. We need Wright. We need these guys getting reps now early on. We need, like, on the offensive line, Joel Bitonio is not there. Wyatt Teller's not there. Jack Conklin's not there. Are these guys not good leaders? Are they not good teammates? I mean, I need Zach Zinter out there getting reps right now and getting work. DeJuan Jones.
Everybody says David Njoku is pretty much Cleveland Browns.
He's not there.
Mascot right now. He's not there. So what? So if we're not making a big deal about that, why are we making a big deal about Myles Garrett? Why does it always have to be? We just have to like hyper focus on little things. It's right. Irrelevant.
Now, guy. Go ahead, Kenny.
I was going to say, you're probably going to say this right now. The guy I'm more concerned about is the guy that has a 1-year contract and it's one of our weakest positions, and it's Deontay Johnson.
Exactly.
I was going to say that, were you not?
Yes.
And I'm like, just, you're paying kind of as a head case. I really don't know the guy, or anything like that, but you're paying as kind of a head case and you don't show up. I get that he's good at breaking in and out of routes, but you don't know the offense. Nobody knows the offense because we're not sure how they're really changing it. But you're coming in new and you got a 1-year contract, prove it contract, and you're not there. That boggles my mind.
That's whenever I saw Deontay Johnson wasn't there, again, it's voluntary. I understand. It's up to your discretion. If you don't want to come, you don't want to come. Why the hell are you not there? That's what it makes no sense. Like Kenny's saying, you're not only is it a 1-year contract, you're on a vet minimum. You are roster fodder. You can be chopped, cut, and just sealed away for nothing to the Browns. And if you get cut by the Browns, you're probably not getting signed by anybody after what happened to you last season. The Browns took a chance on you. I doubt another team, at least right away, is come calling, knocking on your door.
I agree. That was, I don't know if we're going into players that were missing, but that was the one guy that stood out to me when I saw the list. That was the one I was like, I really wish he would have been there.
Yeah.
Like, make a statement, And like Kenny said, I don't know the guy personally. When he was with Pittsburgh, couldn't stand the guy because he was just very, very good for them for the most part. You know what I mean? He had his moments where he wasn't great and made, drop balls and did silly things. But for the most part, that guy was a menace for a good while with the Steelers. So it would have been nice to see him there. Would have been cool to just kind of maybe for a couple of weeks go, well, we might not have to worry about this. But who knows? Like you said, he's a vet, though. You know what I mean? Same thing. He's a vet. Hopefully he's, got the playbook and he's ready to go come, mini camp and everything. But yikes.
Yeah, it could be a whole lot of hubbub about nothing.
Correct.
Well,
yeah.
It could be. Just situationally, it's easy to just roll the blanket statement over these guys, say, well, they're all vets, it's all okay. Not every vet is created equal here. We're all individuals. I mean, Deontay Johnson is not Myles Garrett. He does not have the contract. He does not have this job security, all that stuff. So it was interesting that a guy seeking to revive his career and prove it to a new team, he's not there. But I mean, he was there for the workouts, a couple weeks ago and all that stuff. So I mean, it's not like he's been completely absent.
Right.
So, okay. So let's kind of shift into some highlights from some other players. Cause like I said, we're going to get into quarterbacks. We're going to have that entire discussion, but let's talk about some of these other players, some things that stood out to you guys, just based on what you've been reading, watching, listening to, some highlight reels. I mean, I'll kick it off just with one player that I know we're going to talk about and I want to talk about, and it's a veteran who we just talked about, Deontay Johnson not being there, but dude, Jerry Jeudy is at OTAs, and by all accounts, video highlights, reports, beat reporters, everything, the dude is just tearing it up. I've been reading that he looks like he's bulked up a little bit, added a little bit of muscle. He's a little more lean, and he's just making plays. I forget who it was. I think it was Daryl Reuter maybe said, or no, I think it was Daniel Oyefusi or whoever. They said every time I looked at the veteran practice field, Jerry Jeudy was making a play.
And wide open, just blowing by guys. I don't know what they were trying or what they were doing, but if you just go to X right now and you just flick through and you're a Browns fan, of course, you flick through your feed, you're going to see Jerry Jeudy just running with the ball open all the time. Man, I saw this amazing catch. It was a pass from Flacco, I believe. He missed him a little bit to the side of his shoulder. He was breaking in this way. And he caught it kind of like this, took his hand over and just sucked it right in. He might be the new vacuum hands. I don't know. We'll think.
Isn't it kind of refreshing too? Because going into this year, we're really just kind of counting on like a 3 or 4 game sample where we're like, he might be really, really special. Like we think he's really good. We think he's our one, but was there some doubt going into this year? At least on my end, I felt like I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I think we're pretty sure, but man, what a way to start off that when you see your one is legit just balling out like a 1 every day.
Yeah.
Like the one I saw, I want to say it was Pickett that threw it to him. They threaded 2 guys and he was just right in between them and then he was gone. Literally did like a little shake move and was gone, and they're not tackling or anything like that. But just, it's very, very exciting to see probably your alpha guy out there looking like an alpha.
And going back to this, Kevin Stefanski offense and everything, Jerry Jeudy he was the 6th leading receiver in the NFL last year in that crappy, whatever it was, Ken Dorsey, no quarterback play offense. He could be something very special in this precision timing, be where you need to be, because he's a hell of a route runner.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, he had 5 to 10 pounds is what I've read of muscle. Even it's more breaking tackles, more yak, more yards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, and I don't want to sound negative, but like we're just talking about other receivers. This is a good thing for us, but I mean, behind him, we don't really know what we have. I mean, we want to say that we like Tillman, but we're not sure. Deontay Johnson was good 2 years ago, but we're not sure. And then behind that, are you guys confident in any of those guys?
No.
There's guys I like, guys, but I've been liking him for 3 or 4 years and we're still waiting for him to come through. So
if you got
not to get negative on a positive thing, but you know what I mean?
The wide receiver position.
It is nice to see that though.
The wide receiver position it's a huge question mark. Big time.
Well, look at who you have, right? You have Jerry Jeudy, like you said. Your veterans are Deontay Johnson. Then your next veteran is, DeAndre Carter with 8 seasons. You're looking at emerging contributors. So it's Sedtill, Jamari Thrash, David Bell, Michael Woods, and then you have some other guys on there. I don't want to get into it too much, but like the guy I was going to talk about was Luke Floria from Kent State. I mean, could he be another Julian Edelman find? And I'm not going to say he's exactly Julian Edelman, but what I mean is they found a quarterback, they turned him into a receiver from that specific university, and he ended up being a great slot receiver for the Patriots. And is that something that we could find? Because he seems to be really turning heads. He's getting a lot of praise out of camp for getting in and out of his routes. He's catching everything, which is great to hear because it means the quarterbacks are putting the ball where it needs to be. But I like what I read, and man, imagine just the story of a kid from Mentor goes to Kent State and makes it with the Browns. That'd be special.
Oh, I'm rooting hard for the kid. I mean, he said that his dad had season tickets to the Browns for the first 15 years of his life. Yeah. I mean, he's a Browns fan. Now he's, he got invited to try out. He got a contract after rookie minicamp. Like, he's definitely made an impression on the coaching staff.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
A couple other guys that, I was reading, and some of these notes are from Damon Wolf from Dogs by Nature, who was there at the OTA session that was open to the media. Again, there was only one session that was open to the media, one day that the media was allowed to go and report from. So that's where we're pulling a lot of this information. But they said, and I saw the pictures before I read this of DeJuan Jones. I saw pictures and
thank you, bro. Bring it up. So, most important part of this thing, I think.
Yeah. So Wolf says DeJuan Jones is not only healthy, but he looks like he is lighter and more agile. Usually losing weight for an offensive tackle was not ideal, but for Jones, being close to 400 pounds was a detriment last season. Playing at a lighter weight should reduce the strain on his lower body and therefore increase his chances of staying healthy. And I saw the pictures of him at the OTA before I read this, and I was like, man, this guy looks lean. He really did. He just looked like a monster rather than kind of like an overweight like he did last year.
I think everybody was kind of holding their breath this offseason with DeJuan Jones, because when, previously he would leave, he'd kind of put on some weight, come back, a little out of shape, and then it was just kind of a fight to just get back to that position. For everything that I'm saying 4 or 5 different places now, everything is DeJuan Jones looks lighter, looks in shape, looks like he potentially probably lost weight. We weren't sure what was going to happen at that tackle spot. We were hoping that he could be healthy and just kind of plug that for a year and then we figure it out and see what we do with Conklin going forward. This is kind of like an under the radar huge thing, a huge part of the deal. It is super, super important. I think it just gets glossed over with all the quarterback talk, all that stuff. For me, quarterback was extremely important, but all offseason we went, man, we don't really have a wide receiver, don't really have a tackle going forward. If we let Jed walk, hopefully if he can stay healthy, man, huge position role just filled.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I'll go into the next one. Zach Zinter was one, because I looked at the same list that Josh looked at. He looks like he's stronger. He's noticeably moving better. And so he's getting also some praise from Wolf, just as far as he needed a full year without leg injury. And he kind of got tossed to the wolves a little bit, I think, last year, because it was noticeable just in the preseason, him getting pushed back a little bit. And when you break your leg like that, you need at least a full year of recovery, if not a season and a half. Yeah,
I like Zach Zinter a lot, and I think that he can be potentially a starting offensive guard for the Browns in the future. And it's good to hear that both of these guys who were coming off season-ending injuries in 2023, last year into 24, obviously they weren't in full shape, football readiness and all that kind of stuff, but this year they are. And with DeJuan Jones as a rookie, whenever he came in, week 1, when Jack Conklin busted up his knee and was out for the season, DeJuan Jones came in and we were all like, damn, this guy's good. He was holding his own. He was he was taking on TJ Watt.
TJ Watt's daddy.
Yeah, his daddy, yes. And then, he was doing great as a rookie until he got hurt. So, the hopes were high last year. And then whenever he played 3 games at left tackle after Jed Wills decided he didn't want to play football anymore. And he held his own. He actually did very well at left tackle. I think I did the stats. He gave up a couple pressures and no sacks over 3 games. That's solid left tackle play compared to what we were getting from anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, remember this time last year, we were all wondering when our starting offensive line was going to come back. We were all like, they didn't come back really until the first game of the year, and they got whooped. They looked bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And then the last bullet point of Wolf's article here, he was talking about Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, the outside linebacker edge rusher that the Browns signed earlier this offseason. This could go as an under the radar free agent signing. I mean, we talked about it when it happened, but it was kind of like, okay, we signed this guy. That's cool. But they're saying that he was super explosive in his get off the line. I did see some videos showing it. He's never played in a wide 9 scheme like this before. And I've been reading where this is kind of what he's built for. And he's never really been utilized to, maximize his potential. So maybe they got Jim Schwartz a new toy here.
Well, this goes back to what we were talking about. Does Myles Garrett need to be here? Would we be talking about this if Myles Garrett was there? He probably wouldn't get as many reps because it's like I said, like they use these reps for the lower end of the depth because they need to see what they got. But he's going to get even more reps right now. And this is fantastic to hear this news that he's just firing off the line because that's stuff you can't teach.
Right.
In a positional group where we could use a body, we're going into this year hoping guys are gonna step up, but I think the loss of JOK that's gonna hurt a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm very excited about what we're seeing from a lot of these other positions and these guys that are at OTAs. So very encouraging stuff. Again, we get it. Helmets and shorts. I get it. They're not going full speed. It's not contact, but still. It's nice to see everybody out there making some plays. And like Blake says all the time, especially like preseason and stuff, it's much more indicative of things if you're seeing bad play than good. But so far, we haven't really seen anything bad. It's just been all positive, which is different vibes than I feel like we got last year.
Absolutely.
So let's do it. Let's dive into this quarterback talk. If there's anything else you guys wanted to touch on, maybe we'll throw it in at the end. But, I did an episode earlier this week talking about the quarterback stat chart, the official quarterback stats from OTAs Day 2 from ESPN Cleveland and Tony Grossi, and just how the division of repetitions was split up between the 4 quarterbacks and all that stuff. So I'm going to step back. You guys, Justin, you kick it off. Just talk about what your takeaways from the week with the quarterback situation, all that kind of stuff.
I don't know what the hell's going on. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, it's very tricky. I'll start off with this. It's very tricky getting a feel of how these guys are doing because based on who you're listening to or who you're reading, some guys are doing great, some are doing bad. You'll literally change to a different article and the guys that are doing bad are doing good. It's hard to tell. For me, it's May, right? We're in May. There's a long way to go, right? What I'll say taking away from what I saw is I think that we kind of been underselling Joe Flacco a little too much. I think there's a really, really potential chance that Joe Flacco is going to be the starter. And then we'll see how that goes until, it's a brutal schedule. Who knows what happens those first 8 weeks. But, that for me, the quarterback tracker thing, when I saw it, I was like, that's interesting because, we're not getting any of that stuff. But then you take 5 seconds and you're like, how do we even know that what this is? Is this a situational thing? Is Shedeur throwing all his balls from the 15-yard line and, some of these other guys are at the 40 or there's just no context with it. I don't think you can look at it and go, well, that's impressive that, that somebody got 3 touchdowns to this or, completion. But I think it's very hard to take anything good away from the quarterback tracker. I think it just kind of misleads the shit out of you. Honestly, you know what I mean? Because we've seen some of those plays from Shedeur and one of them was fantastic. The deep ball one, if that one's counted in there, holy shit, that is super impressive. But the other one's 10-yard little dump. It's hard to tell. What I do think taking away from the last couple of days is that I think we put a lot of stock into the rookies or even Kenny Pickett and which one of these guys we're going to elevate up. I'm getting the vibe that this is Kevin Stefanski and Joe Flacco time. And, here come week 1, that's going to be the unit.
This episode is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Browns fans, I can't tell you guys how many people I've known over the years who have missed out on job opportunities simply because they don't have the right degree or even have a degree at all. I mean, these are people who otherwise would have been perfect for the position they wanted, but they got turned away simply because of educational requirements. If you've ever felt stuck in a job you didn't enjoy, or you felt unqualified or unable to advance your career due to your lack of education or experience, heck, maybe you even have a degree, but now you feel like you chose the wrong major, Southern New Hampshire University could be the answer for you. Go to snhu.edu/bark, B-A-R-K, to learn how you can get started today. SNHU has programs in psychology, cybersecurity, computer science, sports management, game development, data analytics, and finance. SNHU is one of the largest online accredited universities in the United States, and their programs are radically affordable. Their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation. And you might even be eligible for financial aid or have prior college credits that could fast track your degree at SNHU. And because networking is everything, your courses are taught by faculty with real world experience. So you'll have opportunities to connect with people inside the industry. And then when you graduate, SNHU will still be there to help you as you begin your job search. So if you're ready for something new, head over to snhu.edu/bark and learn how you can get started working toward your new career today.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you are a big CBD fan, the way they kind of describe it is it's Kenny Pickett's job to kind of lose. Flacco's, break the glass in case of emergency, and then you grinding out the rookies to see what they got. As far as the QB tracker and the stats, get me a matchbook and a stick of dynamite, blow it up, because I don't take anything to it. Biggest thing is you hit the nail on the head with the word context.
Yeah.
How is he doing this? I don't know what you've seen for reps. Obviously, I'm up here in Canada. I was not in training camp.
Right.
I've seen Shedeur Sanders at the goal line for most of it, so I probably missed the long ball that you were talking about. I do 100% understand what Nathan Zagura means, that he has elite ball placement. So I think part of the problem when he was at Colorado was that he couldn't step into his throws. And so clearly when he's doing 7-on-7, which I feel like I'm reading that was most of the stuff that he did, 7-on-7s, he can step into every single throw. He had 2 throws for touchdowns of the 3 that he had, 1 in each corner. The placement was fantastic. It was unbelievable, right? As far as where the other guys were on the field and what they were doing, I don't know, because again, aside from Jerry Jeudy, if you scroll through X right now, you're going to see a ton of Sanders highlights. Flacco, though, his deep ball looks good. So what I'm hoping, and you now mentioned the Sanders deep ball, I think I've seen a concerted effort to push the ball down the field, which is something that we should be seeing from a Tommy Rees inspired offense, because that's what he does. So I was happy to see that kind of stuff. But as far as like saying like Sanders should be like the starter or any of this second day OTA garbage, they're not even there, guys. Like it's just take it for what it's worth. But it was nice to see only 1 interception. And it was nice to see that the ball's not hitting the ground very much. So it means the receivers, it means the quarterbacks, they're on the same page.
And the other thing that I thought was interesting too, and I think that this is the kind of stuff that we should be looking to take away from this. I saw it on a couple different places, but they said just mechanically, at least Sanders looked like he had improved some things over the last month. Which that's exactly what I'm not looking for starter depth chart shit. I want to see who's progressing, who's getting better, who can be the future. If Shedeur Sanders is our future quarterback, I'm absolutely stoked, especially the fact that we got him in the 5th round. I'm absolutely losing my mind, especially we have a $80 million hit on Deshaun Watson next year on dead cap, if you know what I mean. So like this is exactly what we need if we want to actually not be a shithole for the next 5 years. Go ahead, brother.
I'm glad you mentioned, the improvement based on the mechanics and things. Because who said it? Do you remember? Was it Nathan Zagura?
It was either Nate or I want to say maybe Zach Jackson on. Okay, he was on USS or Ultimate Cleveland.
Well, the thing is
one of those guys.
I doubt it was Zach Jackson because he's been like Shedeur's the QB1 perfect quarterback no matter what ever since the beginning. So I doubt he would even mention improvement because there's nothing to improve if you talk to Zach Jackson. But there's no denying there were some videos from Shedeur in rookie minicamp where the ball came out and it was just a wobbly duck and it looked terrible. And they said, whoever I was reading, I forget who it was. I wish I wrote it down. They said noticeably, like you mentioned, fix his mechanics, change some things up, tighter spiral. And he didn't. I saw no videos where there was the wobbly duck anymore. Everything did look a lot more pinpoint on the spiral and everything from Shedeur, and that stuff does matter. Grossi said Dylan's ball in minicamp was noticeably tighter spiral and just better than Shedeur's. But the second round here in OTAs, the first thing of OTAs, Shedeur definitely looked better. So Yes, I want to see these guys improving. They're rookies. They're coming out of college. I mean, nobody's even close to a finished product or ready. So just to see the improvement is good.
That's what they're supposed to do, right? So, I mean, that's what you want to see. And you want to see, like, if you don't know who they're competing against, but say if Sanders is the fourth and he's 7-9 for 3 and it's at red zone rope, that's what you want to see. You want to see him dominate that competition. So maybe they move him up to the next level. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just think that it's very, very early. The thing that's frustrating about the situation too is, as far as with the quarterbacks, is you're getting a lot of Sanders, which we want that, right? We want to see Sanders highlights. We want to see, what's he doing, but I'm not really seeing anything from anybody else. You know what I mean? Like until like they open the thing up and we actually get to go up there and see these guys do their thing, it's going to be tough to really get a fair evaluation of any of the quarterbacks.
For real.
I mean, aside from the quarterbacks, I want to see is our secondary any good? Like we're revamping our safeties. We're really revamping our defensive tackles. Defensive tackle is what makes the wide 9 go for Schwartz. How's Mason Graham? We signed him, thank God. Yay. Yeah. So is he going to be the next big tackle for Schwartz? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and Justin said it right earlier. I mean, the reports from these guys at camp about the quarterbacks, man, this stuff is all over the place. I mean,
yes,
it's like
no consistency.
No consistency. None. And the what really pisses me off about is nobody's offering up a whole lot of explanation. Like everyone, the Shedeur supporters will say, well, how come you guys don't talk about Zach Jackson saying Dylan Gabriel doesn't look like an NFL quarterback? Because he didn't say why. He didn't explain it. I mean, that's okay. Fine, he said it.
If it's size, I mean that. Okay.
Okay, sure. He's not 6'5".
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are other 5'11", 5'10" guys playing quarterback in the NFL. I'm not concerned right now about the height. I want to know about the play on the field. If it's the play on the field, tell me that and tell me what it is about the play that makes him not look like an NFL quarterback.
I want to see guys take drops, go through their evaluations, read the defense, read their, what their 3 reads or however many reads they get through and make a decision and fire. That's it. Because we haven't seen that in a year and a half.
Okay, year and a half. We have seen it. The last time we saw it, it was the guy that after this 1 year or week of OTAs, I'm with Justin. Week 1, if I had to put money on a guy right now, it's Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco starting this season, and this is where I want to kind of talk about this quarterback hierarchy and how the depth chart plays out heading into the season. I know we're super early and there's all summer to go, but originally I've been telling people like, hey, they did keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster last year. So what's preventing them from doing it again this year? And the more now that I've thought about it and watched and listened and really put some time into this whole quarterback situation, I tend to agree with people who say there's no way they're keeping all 4 of these guys because the situation is different. Last year, I mean, you're keeping guys like Tyler Huntley and DTR. I mean, these guys aren't pushing for a starter spot in any way, shape, or form. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. This year, all 4 of these guys will be pushing for the starter position. I don't think you can keep all 4 of them. And I know Blake's not on this episode, and he would probably vehemently disagree with me. But I think Kenny Pickett's the odd man out here.
It's so I'll say it with this. It is May. Who knows what happens? I would probably say if they are okay with just running Flacco out for as long as they can, I think that it's just going to come down to whether we believe it or not. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, they're not going to just want to go out there and put 3 wins on the table and just roll into next year hoping that everything's cool. I think that they're trying to win. If you don't want your professional team to win, I don't get it.
Right.
I don't understand what we're doing. I don't want that next year pick to be the number 1 overall. You know what I mean? In May of the previous year. That's so silly to me. But I think that they're going to keep the 2 rookies because financially it makes sense. And then I think you dangle the other guy. Whoever doesn't win from what I hear, they're running 2 basically 11-on-11s. And you have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett basically competing for the starting spot. And then you have Shedeur and Gabriel kind of, getting the rookie reps on this other field. I think whoever wins that starting gig, I think that next guy is probably going to be dangled out there, depending on injuries. And you have you got teams out there that could use a backup quarterback or a fill-in.
Yeah.
I think one of those guys gets dangled and probably traded away.
So
I think Kenny's the front runner right now, and I think it's his job to lose. And I don't think Flacco's going to make it easy for him. Either way, these aren't going to start. I don't think so. How many times have you heard about the Browns schedule and the gauntlet that starts it? You're not going to put a Shedeur, you're not going to put a Dylan Gabriel out there to, not win. It doesn't make any sense. Get a veteran in there to steady the ship for those first two. And somehow, if you can go 3-3 in that gauntlet, then you found something, right? I just don't know about Flacco, and they're looking for they should be looking for long-term success. I don't know if that's going to be with Flacco. There must be something they see in him. And it was kind of reiterated through a comment from Terry Bradshaw, where Terry was saying something along the lines of, Pittsburgh Steelers failed Kenny Pickett. They didn't give him a run game. They didn't give him an offensive line. The receiver core dropped, like they cut Deontay Johnson, never really replaced him. And there must be something that they see in this kid that he can run the offense that Stefanski's been so successful with, because they're doubling down on this offense and it's going to be predicated on the running game, right? And they're thinking that he can manage that somehow with his high athletic ability, and we'll see.
So walk with me on this, and you guys tell me if you think I'm crazy or if there's some validity to this. So I'll tell you why I think that Kenny Pickett, and I'm kind of calling my shot here early in May, or I guess when this comes out, June 1st. Why Kenny Pickett's the odd man out. So I think he's the odd man out because he's the one the Browns are hyping up. And I've seen some of the speculation online, and I'm thinking, I think there's something to this. They hyped the living crap out of Travis Hunter just to drive. And it's not
just like to the point where we even were like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
it almost became too much hype where we were like, something's going on.
Yeah, like they're oozing over this guy a little too much. This isn't normal for this regime.
I remember texting and going, they're really, really hyping him up. What's going on?
And they're doing the same thing with Kenny Pickett, okay? So I know, like Kenny's talking about, they're looking for longevity at the position. I would argue that the future is definitely not Joe Flacco, but it's also definitely not Kenny Pickett, because, and Blake likes to point to the Sam Darnold year last year. And a lot of fans do. I'm not just picking on Blake. I mean, and it's a legitimate comparison. I mean, Sam Darnold goes to a good offense, good offensive coach, and has a resurgent. I mean, not even just a resurgent year, like career year, got himself a big bag of money. But even throwing for 4,300 yards and 35 touchdowns, leading the Vikings to the playoffs, did not get him an extension with that team. They had a younger guy on a rookie contract that they were going to move forward with. Now, we don't have the 10th overall pick on our roster. I get that at quarterback. But and I don't think Kenny Pickett goes out and has anywhere near that kind of year, because, I mean, his career high for a single season is 7 touchdowns. I don't think he's getting 35. So say he goes out and he throws 25 touchdowns and like 3,600 yards, and the Browns win, 8, 9, maybe even 10 games. He's the 4-year starter. Are we really giving him a 3-year extension next year whenever he just proved that he can be an NFL starter, lead your team to the playoffs? Are we giving him a bigger contract that he's going to demand something on the market, right? Right. Just like Sam Darnold did. Are we doing that? Are we really going to pay this guy when we've got these 2 rookies? We've got these 2 first-round picks. I just don't see a future where Kenny Pickett is the quarterback for the Browns.
And this comes back to salary cap, and I feel like the salary cap is just a weird monster. Because like every year I go, we don't have any damn money. How are we going to get any contracts done? We have no money. We're negative $60 million already, and we haven't even signed anybody. And then it all kind of works out. I think it's a great point. And I think even like for Darnold, I have a feeling he's going to come back to earth pretty hard this upcoming year. Bad offensive line. You were playing with Justin Jefferson and like
Kevin O'Connell.
They're a ridiculously well-rounded roster as far as like offensive, defensively. Like they don't have like really any holes.
The Vikings,
like in Minnesota,
yeah.
And in Minnesota. So I'm saying like I don't think you can expect that from Kenny Pickett, because we have Judy, but we don't have Justin Jefferson and then Addison, and the list goes on. I think they're very set skill wise. To me, I don't think we can afford to like throw a 3-year, $80 million contract at Kenny.
Well, let's put it this way real quick.
Yeah.
We didn't want to pay.
What would the
we
numbers
didn't
even
want
be?
to. We didn't want to extend Baker, and those were Baker numbers. 25 touchdowns, 3,700 yards, and we didn't want him as our long-term answer. So why would this same regime want Kenny Pickett?
Right.
If
It's
those
not-
are,
If
Yeah.
it's not a rebuild either, I don't know.
I like your take. Like I think I'm going to stick with Pickett, but I like your take. I think it's great. The one thing is I did notice a little bit extra on like plugging him. I totally get that. The biggest thing that I took away about Joe Flacco though, and him starting off the season, maybe handing it to one of the rookies, is the way that Joe Thomas on this program was speaking about how the veterans were so comfortable that Joe Flacco was in the locker room. And it's nothing against Kenny Pickett. It's just the way he was talking about Joe Flacco. It seems like there's a relief to the veterans and they want to play for Flacco, which they did and would be reminiscent of the end of the 2023 season. That's what makes me think that you could possibly be right with that as well. The other thing is that we're only through OTAs. Anything could happen, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
Yep.
May. It's legitimately May, and we're talking about
Yeah.
the quarterback depth chart
Yeah.
for
that's the topic of interest for a lot of people. And
Yes,
like I said, I'm
huge.
kind of just calling my shot here, thinking
yes.
I want to see. I want to put it out there, and I want to see if I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just want the best quarterback for this team. Like Justin said, I'm not looking to tank and get the number 1 overall pick before the season has even started. This team, I don't see any reason why this team can't at least be competitive and be a 500 ball club, because the last time we had, and the thing is, we had Joe Flacco, we had no offensive line with him. We had practice squad tackles. It was pathetic. We had no run game. Our defense was decimated, and we were still winning games. Now, if Joe Flacco starts the season with a healthy defense, healthy offensive line, 2 young stud running backs, we're getting back to the run game, Jerry Jeudy, why can't we come out here and go 500 before the bye week at minimum?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I think they're going to be 8-9 or 9-8, like somewhere around there. They'll win some games with that defense and the running. That's what they want to do, and just minimize those turnovers.
And Joe Flacco he's not played a full season since 2017, his last year with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen. So if you start him, you're going to get your opportunity at some point, whether it's injury or we lose a stretch of games, whatever. You're going to get your opportunity to see what at least one of the rookies have. But I think if you've got 2 of these veterans on the roster, both Flacco and Pickett, it's going to be very difficult to make an argument to get one of those guys on the field whenever you could just go to the next veteran who you prioritize throughout this process anyway. So they got to get rid of one of them, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, cool. Well, that's great. Glad I convinced you guys. No.
I think there is something to it. One of those guys is gonna, I think, and Kenny's definitely the more tantalizing target. You're talking about what, 24, 25-year-old,
26, I
young,
think. Yeah.
26,
Yeah, he's 20.
young. You know what I mean? Flacco. It's gonna be hard to trade a 40-year-old quarterback.
And with Pickett, I mean, heck, Andrew Berry got a 5th round pick for Josh Dobbs, who was not in contention to be the starter, who was just a backup. So I think that he can at least return on his investment. The thing is, and another thing that I was thinking, when they traded for Pickett, that was it, man. We had no other quarterbacks on the roster. So you had to go out and get some sort of safe, last resort contingency plan in case your whole offseason doesn't go the way you want it to. Then they signed Joe Flacco, and then the draft comes. It's like, holy crap, we did not expect to come out with 2, quarterbacks. And these quarterbacks, it's not like we came out with a guy that nobody was talking, like 2 very, productive college quarterbacks who are close to NFL ready just because of their experience. The quarterback room's completely different than it was when we traded for Pickett. So it's just a whole different world now than it was before.
Because that sounds like an NFL draft movie quote almost, doesn't it?
Which one?
What's that?
Which quote?
What you just said, it's a whole different world than we're in. I think he said something like that in that line. He tells him to eat his effing pancakes.
Yeah. Yep, that's a great movie. Okay, so anything else from OTAs that you guys want to dive into? Anything else with these quarterbacks, or did we kind of cover what you guys want to talk about?
Take a deep breath, Cleveland Browns fans. We're very early into this thing. We're just getting started.
Yes, we're early into it, and week 2 of OTAs will be this week, so get ready to do it all again. We're going to get all bent out of shape. They're going to put out another QB stat tracker with no context. We're going to freak out about it, and we're going to have this same episode again next weekend. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Tap the notification bell on YouTube so you don't miss when we come out with new stuff, because we're just going to keep doing it, keep detailing all this stuff. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Justin, Kenny, I'm glad you guys were able to jump on with me here and talk about OTAs.
Always.
So, yeah, good times, man. Good times.
Absolutely.
Again, jump into the dog pack on our Patreon at jointhedogs.com if you want to play fantasy football. You know, I ran 2 leagues last year. Justin, Kenny, Blake all ran a league. We're going to be running multiple leagues again this year. So if you want to play fantasy football, you want to run up against Justin and try to take him down, which you got taken down last year.
Once in my 3-year career,
because Justin was
4-year career of this thing. I've got a pretty hot streak.
Back-to-back champ, right?
I was back-to-back, and then dynasty champion. I just don't want to brag about my things. I just want to be a humble guy out here. Sorry.
I won both my leagues last year. Yes, I think Blake won his league. Kenny, you did not. You got taken down.
No, I'm in 6 leagues and I'm Mr. Mediocre right now. I just
But it's fun. We've got our Dog Pack Championship t-shirt. If you win the league, you get your championship t-shirt, you get your roster on the back. It's just a ton of fun. It's a good time. And then we try to roll the leagues each year, so you're kind of in with the same people if you want to be. If you want to be in a different league, all you got to do is request that, and we'll move you into a different spot. No big deal. But there's some rivalries that develop. It's just a good time. So head to jointhedogs.com. Get your name on the registration list if you want to play fantasy. Sync up with the private Discord. Start chatting with us. It's going to be a great summer of Browns content, and you guys want to be along for the ride. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Let's go Brownies.
Go Brownies.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at The Dogs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedogspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Guys, is your wedding band old, outdated, or just not the same taste you had when you were younger? Or hey, maybe you're about to get married, but you don't want to deal with the salespeople at the jewelry stores. Manly Bands has the best wedding bands made specifically for men. They have the classic, timeless gold and white gold styles, but they also have rings made from platinum, black zirconium, tungsten, titanium, even materials like meteorite and dinosaur bone. Yes, your wedding ring could be made from a dinosaur fossil. That is a real thing. They also have different ring collections, like their Jack Daniels rings made from actual Jack Daniels whiskey barrels. They also have Lord of the Rings and DC Comics band collections. Head over to manlybands.com/dogs and take advantage of their 30% off sale with free shipping. Plus, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out for another 10% off your order. Now, every Manly Band comes with a free silicone ring, and if you don't know your ring size, that's okay. You can order a free ring size chart from Manly Bands to make sure that you know exactly the right size before you order. And then if you get your ring and it doesn't fit just right, you can always return it or exchange it without any hassle. And I know this because I like my rings to be a little more loose, and the first band that I got was just a little too snug for the way I like to wear it. So I exchanged it, and the whole process was quick, easy, and I had my new ring in no time. And now Manly Bands is even accessorizing men beyond just your wedding rings with their chain necklaces and chain bracelets made for men by men. And if you need groomsmen gifts or anything else, Manly Bands has you covered with their barware, whiskey glasses, flasks. They even have customized coasters and flight trays. So skip the jewelry stores, avoid the salespeople, and get a wedding band that was designed for you. Manlybands.com/dogs to get 30% off, free shipping, plus get an extra 10% off when you use code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out.